Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm Angela Wilkinson, intuitive coach and founder of the Awakened Goddess Academy. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Welcome, Molly, to the Awakened Goddess Show. I am over the top, full of excitement to be here with you today because I know we're going to have an amazing discussion. Who knows where we're going to go, but I'm glad to be on this journey with you. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. All right. So I want to just dive in. You talk about something called the third force. And until we had a chance to chat, I had never heard of that concept before. So I want to just dive in and talk about how that relates to manifesting.
Great. This is a topic that I'm so passionate about because it was something I didn't realize until I put it into action and began to see what and how resistance helps us and staying in the resistance or staying in the yes and the no. And I realized every time through various situations. One is that, I'm a classical pianist, and very early on, when I would begin to walk out on stage, I would be stricken with fear, absolute fear. Yeah. And knowing that I was prepared and that I wanted to perform and share this gift with people. But every time I was paralyzed by this feeling of wanting to run out of the building or not wanting to go on. So there was this yes and no. And I was really pretty young when I first discovered this phenomenon of being in the yes and the no at the same time. And if I'm fully in the no, then whatever in me takes over and I do run out of the building or I don't go out on stage. And if I'm all in the yes, I may be pushing to do something, but without the respect of the other, like, receptive part of it. It may be all doing and no reception, but in this case, it just hit me like a ton of bricks, where I felt it in my body. I felt it as a reality, and was able to stay in this not wanting to and wanting to, this being and not being. It's the doing and the not doing. And I'm describing right now to you two forces. They're always there. They're, but they're not always there consciously. And we'll avoid certain things we'll experience self-sabotage or things like that. We're only got one force there, and we're captured by something else. So really, to name these two forces would be to say one is an affirming force and one is a denying force. Or one is an active force and one is a passive force. One is a giving and a doing, and one is a receiving. And really, for something to come to manifestation, there must be both of them there. And we can kid ourselves, and push and push and push and push, and nothing's really happening in the way that we would like it to. And once we give up, there's the third force. Once we presence both of these forces at the same time. And an easy example would be when I can't think of that word. I can't think of that, what that word is. It's not coming to me. I know what I mean, and that frustrating thing. And then you say, oh, screw it. I can't, I'm just going to give up. And then it just bubbles in.
Right.
And that is from making a certain effort to intentionally find it, to intentionally do it, but then the letting go.
Mm-hmm.
And so those two forces intentionally held at the same time brings about a third force. So because I teach so much about self-transformation and spiritual growth, one of the things that can create a third force within us is something called self-observation. So that is not what we usually think it is, where, oh, I can see something and I can name it, and that may be just from one realm within us. One, like our thinking can label something and say, okay, I see this, this is what this is. And a lot of times we'll try to do that. We'll try to observe ourselves through this thinking thing, which really compares and analyzes and retrieves from a memory bank. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm talking about with self-observation is it's a practice of holding many things at once. And that brings about a new force. Mm-hmm. And so the use of this self-observation, and maybe we'll talk about that a little bit too, but the use of self-observation, the staying power of attention, allows us to see the yes and the no at the same time. We can get all caught up in things, and we can't see our own self-sabotage. We can't really see where it's coming from. We do not have enough attention. We can't hold the yes and the no. So this practice of maintaining attention on our own resistance is absolutely magical, and brings about our own ability to experience ourselves from a new impression, from a new place, from a new perspective, instead of trying to do it and seeing from a way which brings about the problems in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Really getting caught up in the thought process and really our self-limiting thoughts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, in my terms and in the lines of spiritual work that I've done, the problem is identifying with thought. Mm-hmm. We have all these many parts of us. And when we identify with one of them, our attention is captured and consumed by that. And we're not aware that we are captured and consumed. We are filled with those worries about, oh no, what is going to happen? How, or why did I say that? Or, all of the little things, all of those that self-talk that goes on. That is us being in a state of identification. Mm-hmm. And with self-observation, what happens is we're able to catch ourselves in the state of identification, and we all of a sudden see something. Mm-hmm. But this is very hard to do.
Yes. I was going to say, this sounds like higher level processing.
It really is. And it comes from a lot of practice with attention. Mm-hmm. The first thing in my system of learning the third force and learning how to stay with it, consciously working to stay with the yes and the no, you first have to understand attention. Mm. And there's lots of kinds of attention, right? Like we can do meditation and we bring ourselves back to the breath, we bring ourselves back to whatever the program may be, whatever the meditation may be, because our thoughts will go off. Mm-hmm. So we don't have directed attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, society, in our culture now, we have so many things that are calling our attention and pulling at us. And so it's like we really have to, sounds like discipline and retrain ourselves to be more mindful and focus in and really be in that state of being.
Yes.
Versus thinking.
Exactly. And the thing about it is even focus, it's even more than focus. It is, we have a lot of trouble focusing, and we'll try and do things like multitasking, mm-hmm. and we can't really balance it because all of that happens with thought. All of that, if I'm reading an email and I'm listening to my mother on the phone, I will inevitably say, "Oh, what did you say?"
Yeah.
Because I can't keep on both, because
Right.
this is the thinking brain, this is the thinking center. And so if we continually try to hone in on attention through our thinking center, we will inevitably fail. So what we have to learn is expanded awareness. It's a third kind of attention. It's not associative attention where, oh, I heard that word, oh, that must mean this, or oh, I've gotten. We use that we have to have that kind of attention, and we use that even intuitively, and we have directed attention where we've been taught pay attention, pay attention. When I read a paragraph, I need to comprehend it. And I was the kind of person who just, I'd read it and say, well, something caught my attention, and I'd start thinking about that, and I would read it, and I'd say, wow, I didn't think about that at all. I have to reread it. So that's directed attention. But expanded awareness is holding something more at the same time. And so it leads into kind of the next thing, which is part of self-observation, which is sensation.
Where the body comes in.
Yes. And we cannot really have a true observation without our body being present. And that integrative process of holding this awareness while I'm listening to my thought, or holding this sensation in my feet. We can pool the sensation in our feet, and everybody watching this and listening can also experience a greater physicality. And notice I'm not saying feel, because I relegate feel to the emotions. So to sense one's feet, and you're listening to me, and you're looking at me, and I'm moving my hands, and they may be looking at the sofa or us or the colors we're taking in and what I'm saying, but we're able to still maintain sensation. And so bringing in the intention to maintain this sensation, not just haphazardly you experience it, or your body suddenly tells you, oh, this is going on, but to say, I'm going to do this as a conscious, intentional act. That builds a consciousness. That is a different kind of attention.
Well, and isn't that truly where transformation happens?
Absolutely. This is it. That's exactly how we add these drops of consciousness to our bucket. And the more our bucket fills, the more we're feeding our essence instead of the part of us that gets grabbed on and caught and attached to so many of these thoughts. So in order to strengthen ourselves, to bring in sensation, and to, for example, if we're in a negative state, bring in the sensation intentionally to experience more about the state, then we can stay in it. And that's the real staying in the yes and the no. So if we don't have a developed attention in this expanded awareness where we're still holding the sensation, I think everybody else is still thinking, and not thinking, but sensing, and taking in something in a new plane, in a new consciousness, in a new kind of awareness. When we're in a negative state, we do that, we learn more. And our body may experience the negative state, and maybe, my throat's not clear, or I'm afraid, and and my voice is changing or crackling, or I'm speaking in a really high tone because I'm just so nervous, and then things like that.
Tight jaw. I know that was something I experienced for a while. A lot of times the solar plexus will be tight. The chest will feel restricted.
Right. So our body is giving us cues all the time about our state. And we can key into that. And that's one thing to give us information. But when I intentionally maintain this sensation in my feet, it's automatic grounding. It's more of an effort, because our body's going to speak to us if we listen.
Yeah.
with those, and then we can tell more about our emotions and our thinking by the way our body is speaking to us. But we know that's the body brain. Our thinking is another brain that's doing, and our emotions are yet another brain. And so this expanded awareness of bringing in the sensation, watching the thought, will often reveal the stuff that we've been avoiding feeling. And that's another third force.
Yeah.
It's like these two combined are the two forces which bring about a new perception of feeling. And we avoid a lot of feeling. So that's another...
It's like very layered.
Yes.
Almost like, I imagine like phyllo dough, or like a croissant where you've got like all these tons and tons of layers.
Right. There's triangle upon triangle of phyllo dough. You can look at... I mean, there are triangles within triangles.
Spanakopita.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And within each process, there can be a resisting force and an acting force, and holding that there will bring about something else. I mean, you can even think of like a boat and the wind against a boat. Your rudder will provide the resistance and keep you on a directive. Because if you don't use that other force, the wind's just going to blow your boat over this way, right? And then we're no longer putting that intentional resistance or the intentional observation of a negative state. Things can be a first force or a second force, and it's not all that clear. But just knowing that there are the two forces and understanding what the forces are. Sometimes it's letting go.
Yeah. And I think that's huge because, we've kind of been in this masculine way of doing things, like this drive, doing the action-oriented stuff, thinking and figuring things out, and using force to create or manifest. Absolutely. And then now we have the feminine coming in and creating. It's like now we've got this interesting dynamic between the two. It's like we're trying to kind of navigate our way through because we've gotten so used to doing it the masculine, strong way.
Yes. Now
we're bringing in the flow, which I think, again, brings up maybe fear for people. Yeah.
I feel like this is the essence of our times right now, is this shift over to embodying the divine feminine throughout all of our inner work. That we there is something about reception on a grand scale, and recognizing that there is help and we can receive, and that it doesn't, we have all been trained to push and push and push and push. And those of us who push and push and it still doesn't work, then we beat ourselves up in such a judgmental way, and there's no allowance. And
right.
I know for me, that has been part of my huge path, is to allow things to happen instead of, pushing forward all the time. So for lots of us, the theme of letting this come in provides the second force at the same time, so we can manifest exactly with ease and grace and fulfillment and abundance and all aspects of life. There's balance. There's something about balance with staying with the yes and the no, and we need both. We don't want to push the masculine away either. We can't just say, okay, manna from heaven, here, let me ask here, let me ask there, and sit there and hope that things will get fixed or things will happen. There has to be an asking too, the action of asking, and of moving towards something.
Yeah, I was going to say, that feels like the force that moves you forward. So you have one that, like you say, is the directional,
Yes.
the guiding, and then the other one's the moving forward.
Yes.
So I'm curious, I want to talk about receiving, because this, I think, is something a lot of us are challenged by. Boy, I know it's one for me that really talk about makes me uncomfortable,
Yeah.
brings those feelings up. So let's talk about that, because I know if I'm experiencing it, there's a lot of people that are experiencing it.
Everyone is experiencing subtle blocks to abundance and a sense of peace and being here because of this attachment to thought. I go back to that because if we have certain parts of us, we have these many parts of us, many eyes, and we have also from our conditioning ways that we believe, and it's in our DNA too, and and we've picked up modes of this is good, this is bad,
Right.
This is right, this is wrong, I should do this, I shouldn't do that, and that's all. The thinking is a binary computer that compares and analyzes. It a lot of people will call this the ego. And to me, when you have this binary computer that is saying this is good, this is bad, and we learned it as kids, we learned that certain behaviors got something.
Some are acceptable, some are not.
And some got us love.
Yeah.
And some didn't. And we learned to temper all of our behavior. And so when
it's almost like a subtle form of manipulation.
Yes.
Is what comes to mind. It's like you're being kind of manipulated into what's correct and what's right versus
right. I mean, well, it's it takes the lead, and we learn, and it becomes conditioning, and we're unconscious of it. It's automatic mechanical behavior. But until we start to question, oh, maybe this is partly automatic and mechanical, do we really begin to see why we don't receive, why our lives are the way they are, and to have ways of learning that, oh, I'm all attached and I'm identified with this one little part of me that says, I'm supposed to be successful. And then what does successful look like? And then if it doesn't fit in the picture, oh, I'm bad. This is all going wrong. So this is all within the thought realm. And then we can even try to visualize this is in the thought realm too. And so to recognize that we're captured, and to bring in a way of realizing it and seeing it is the way to sort of melt the block so that we can receive, and we begin to see, oh, this isn't really real, it's my conditioning. And I'm so hooked in and believing of it. And so we have to, the more presence we have, the more attention we have, the more we start to sit with it and see and have these, it may be 10 seconds of realization. Oh, I'm not letting myself have this because of A, B, C, D. And it all becomes clear from a new perspective. So that's sort of the melting of the blocks through attention and presence. And the only way to do that is to have the body. So,
well, and to be willing to experience those uncomfortable feelings. So, So taking that, the topic of receptivity, I'm wondering if we can kind of walk through an experiential thing, or process, because again, I think that the viewers probably, we all have something that we can expand, we can all receive more gracefully or in a more expanded way, and I know I'd love to work on that.
yes,
So
yes.
let's. Right. I'm willing to feel uncomfortable for the benefit of all.
Right. Okay, so let's experiment a little bit with a deeper sensation and watching from the inside what's going on. Now you can do this with your eyes shut or open. You can just be here, whatever you're comfortable with. And begin to, at the feet, fill your feet with sensation, or what you experience as sensation. And this is the beginning of a true grounding process that is not visualizing your energy going down into the earth, but by being absolutely aware of the physicality of your body, this is done. This is bringing you fully into your body. And now let the sensation rise up your legs, into your pelvic region, and let that sensation pool and just presence that before we even begin. This is what always needs to happen before you begin to presence any kind of state or question or regard to what's happening within you. And now, with that established, give me a landscape of something that you are experiencing sensation-wise, maybe somewhere else in your body, or remaining in the sensation realm.
Noticing a little bit of tightness in my chest.
Okay. Right, now I want you to bring your awareness to that very sensation. And you're experiencing a slight tightness in your chest, but at the same time, you are still maintaining a kind of awareness of, a real awareness of the sensation in your lower body. And be with that for a few minutes. A few, shorter because of the video. Now, normally in this process, this would take even long. We could make this a whole hour,
right?
Even. But for now, now, tell me if anything else is coming up as we do this.
I'm noticing my heart racing a little bit, or speeding up.
And just stay with that. Instead of the urge to change that or to calm down, the staying power of your attention with sensation as the ground, and then experiencing the fluttering of your heart and the tightness of your chest. And now, if you can, notice the thoughts that are flitting by, and they may be random or they may not be, but can you give us a little sort of running movie of these thoughts?
Well, I'm kind of free of thought, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. And so staying with the subtle block that may be in this realm, and not trying to change it at all, simply experiencing this faster beating heart, slightly tightened chest. And we did say in the beginning that we were looking at reception, just as this was a general theme, and to notice your breath in conjunction, because we are in this heart realm, and any kind of feeling that and feelings come fast.
Yeah, like a little wave of I don't know if it's excitement or just like a whoop. Kind of indescribable sensation.
And that is on the sensation level. What's the feeling level? What is the feeling? The sensations are there. The sensations are different than the feelings. What is a feeling you might access?
Well, I'm finding that I'm kind of almost void of feeling because I'm in this holding space for the interview. So, however, if I tap into like a situation with receptivity,
Mm-hmm.
then there's fear.
Mm-hmm.
There's holding back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just forget about the interview for a second
Mm-hmm.
and let yourself, here we are, we're here, and you've got that sensation, and can you go into that place just of fear, just
Mm-hmm.
ever so subtly? It's not like we're trying to have a breakdown or manifest
Right.
some kind of, you're maintaining sensation in an incredible way. And that does take a lot of practice, but to feel a little bit of the fear in regard to reception
Mm-hmm.
and sense the heart at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that reveal to you? Maintaining the sensation.
That I'm afraid to ask for what I want.
So now let this not afraid of asking what you want, and the experience of the chest and the fluttering to come together as a unified impression, and see if you can hear any other thought.
What just, it was, you don't deserve.
Mm. Mm-hmm. And so what we would do then is to simply watch. The thought will affect the emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and they can go back and forth like a feedback loop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we could go down and wind down in, and maintaining the sensation, listen to the feedback loop. How does that thought make you feel,
Mm-hmm.
or how are the feelings triggering a thought? But really, it's in the moment that it's happening. It's almost as if it cannot be manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
But at least your audience can understand that when something actually is coming up, without us trying to conjure
Mm-hmm.
the experience, but when the experience is happening, when you feel you have this moment of inexplicable fear,
Mm-hmm.
and you know it's there, and you know that, or it has to do with something, it's then you kick in this practice of sensation in the body and listening,
Mm-hmm.
just listening and listening, and more will be revealed to you.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
About it all, without someone needing to tell you about it. It's you discover it. You are the process with your own self-transformation.
It's like you're riding the wave.
It is exactly. But that's
an uncomfortable wave. I was going to say, I was like, because I can see how I can feel into this cyclical, this wave, how it keeps going round and round, and you can take it deeper and deeper, and how, like, what I said was, I don't deserve. What I could feel could come up around that would be sadness, and then there's like, you're not good enough, or whatever happens to come up after that,
right.
and so
right.
yeah,
right. But then you get to presence those thoughts as perhaps something that is simply an attachment instead of what's real.
mm-hmm.
But you can only get there through this segue of maintaining the sensation. That's what enables you to ride the wave, is this tool of the body, because the body will always show up in places of pain or constriction And that is your way in to presencing what's real and what's not real from your thought. Because your thought's going to trigger off emotion. And so just simply to watch this, practice watching, is the whole thing, really. It's not to figure out, oh, this is why. Or, oh, this is where this comes from. Because that's the thinking, wanting to figure out, oh, yes, I was wounded, and this, that's all the thinking, wanting to know why and wanting to have an explanation. But the release, the reception, the understanding, the transformation comes from something outside that we're used to. And we're so used to wanting to fix and to understand from this place. And this is a way to ride the wave. The sensation, you can hold on to that as a tool for life. Right when you're in this negative state or this state of worry or anxiety, okay, where's my body? I'm in my body. I'm letting my body flood with sensation. And it's a tool that grows and grows and grows as you do it more, because then you develop this observer.
Sure.
And the observer is the only one who can see the attachment.
Yeah, because like, say you're in an argument with your partner. I mean, you're overcome with waves of sensations and feelings and emotions, and it's difficult to step outside of yourself and get that
Very
other
much
perspective.
So. It's a great example because we are identified with something the way something should be, and they're not fitting in with that. Or, you know, when we argue, we have this sense of justification that we're right about something, or any of those kinds of things, argument with husband or anger building up, or these states of identification. Well, also the body is also reacting with all that adrenaline and everything else. And so you can't, it's not like you can go, oh, let me be present and stop this stuff. No, but the best we can do is to come in at some point and go, okay, I know this is a train wreck. I know this is, you know, it's run away with me, you know, because the adrenaline is flowing. But can I just bring sensation to my body and see a little bit more? That is an inner struggle. We don't usually do that. We don't want to do that. And the minute you bring this internal, intentional struggle, that's the other force. That's the second force.
Yeah.
Or it may be the first force. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it's our consciousness or our attention pushing against what is, or being with what is, to enable us to see something or to receive more information. And that's all we need to do. We don't need to change anything. We need to be able to see it, because the seeing of it will dissipate. So if that all that adrenaline's going on, it's, okay, where's my body? Let me bring presence to watching it. Because mindfulness is not, oh, this is bringing me peace. Mindfulness is seeing the chaos, is seeing the negativity for what it is being able to stay in there and notice all of the things that happen from a perspective that we ordinarily don't have.
Right.
So mindfulness, you know, I'll have lots of students say, oh yeah, I noticed that, you know, I'm way more peaceful and I'm way more, I said, oh, you're not doing your work. You're not understanding what this mindfulness business is. It's not to not feel the stuff. It's not to not discover and explore. And we use a lot of, you know, meditation and spirituality and all things to not feel.
Yeah.
We really do.
Food, sex, drugs, alcohol,
right. All
busyness. That was my
all
favorite.
Right, exactly. But I mean, even, you know, saying, okay, now I'm mindful. In doing that, we say sometimes, let me push away this negative state, because that's a bad thing to have, and now I'm going to be peaceful. But it's a disaster waiting to happen, because that's all those shadows are being pushed down and pushed aside. So the ultimate in this kind of work with presence is to presence the shadow, to shine light on the shadow. So an intentional inner struggle with, okay, I'm not going to leave this. I'm going to sit in it with sensation in my body and ride this wave. You put it perfectly, to sit there and ride the wave. But you've got to know how to get up on that surfboard and stay on it.
Yeah.
And that's where the yes and the no is. You know, because you can say, oh, I don't want to feel that. I'm going to go eat a whole chocolate cake.
Right.
Or I don't want to. I'm going to go, have 3 drinks. Or I'm going to stay busy, and be a workaholic so I can't see.
Yeah.
Which really
don't want to feel. Just numb it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Distract.
Right.
TV. Ooh.
Right. So
reality TV is like great for distraction.
Right. So the mindfulness is first and foremost to presence all of the negative states. And then I know something is working. With the people I'm working with are just like, oh, I see now what I do. I see what's going on. And it's from a place that's not analyzing, well, my mother never paid attention to me. Okay, all that's important. That's a part of the psychology. That's part of one of our bodies that we need to understand. But it's trying to understand from a place that we are unaccustomed to.
Right.
And
we're not trained to look at the shadow or the negative.
No. And we will judge it. The minute we do see it, we'll judge it and say, oh yeah, this is a bad state. I need to get rid of this. No. This is where you say, all right, here it is. Let me see what's actually going on. You're angry with your husband. You're yelling. You're going, okay, hold on a second. What is this really? Where's the sensation in my body? Let me bring these 3 centers together in whatever way I can, and it'll fail many times, but there'll be a moment where it's like, whoa, aha.
Yeah.
And then that's all it needs to be. There's no fixing. It's loving what is. Byron Katie always says that, but it's how do we get to see what is?
When it's like that place of acceptance for what is that releases the energy you've tied up into it.
So well said. I need to say nothing more, because this is the practice of learning self-acceptance. And it's just a means to that end. Because if I can do that with myself, then I can, give to you, or to my children, or to society, or to the world. I contribute to the bigger picture of the consciousness that's changing. And the only way I can contribute to that consciousness is to understand my own self-acceptance. And the only way to understand my own self-acceptance is to see that I operate from a very mechanical, habitual, non-choosing place.
Very automatic.
Very automatic. Very automatic.
Very fast. It's like instant reaction sometimes.
Yeah. So it does take a lot of practice, but every little bit puts another drop in our consciousness bucket, and we begin to see. And as we feed our essence instead of all of these little personalities and these shoulds and all of that stuff, we get stronger.
Yeah.
And it's then even more easy to see it. And we have access quicker. And something more in our being. We have access to another world in our being. And
is that what enlightenment's all about? Increasing your own self-awareness and allowing what is?
Absolutely. I mean, there are many levels of enlightenment, and that entering that heart space and the understanding that I am you and you are me, that's only the first level of that connection.
That's preschool.
That's not preschool.
No,
that's a big deal for everybody.
But I mean, in relative in the idea of consciousness, the levels of consciousness.
Yes, yes. I mean, that is the first step in. And that's a very big deal. And it's also almost like a breakdown in huge reception
Yeah.
You know, that force, that taking care of oneself in that way, in knowing thyself. You know, that's a big self-care.
Well, it's really getting out of your own way.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, we have to understand that getting out of our own way is recognizing this thing that keeps our attention captured. Mm-hmm. Now it's this I in me. Mm-hmm. Now it's this I that wants to be so
the
perfect.
Saboteur.
Right, the saboteur, the one that wants to look so professional, the one that believes they can't really have anything. Mm-hmm. The one that puts on a show for this, the mm-hmm. one that, you know, and we all have roles to play. Yeah. We do get identified with roles. I mean, but we do need to play roles. That's part of life. But to not be identified mm-hmm. with the role. Yeah.
I was going to say, we get too serious about these roles we think we're supposed to play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The role of the therapist. I'm supposed to sit and be blank slate and be perfect and...
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
say all the right things.
Right. And mm-hmm. I mean, as a spiritual teacher, you know, you get all serious and say this. That's why I go dance in my kitchen, and you know, that's why you know, it's about being here and having fun and connecting. I think all these things that we do keep us really from connecting mm-hmm. with each other, mm-hmm. and that's really the point,
right,
of us all being here is to connect, and that vibration alone, that understanding, that place of empathy, you can't have it if your attention is captured by this stuff. Mm-hmm. So the more space you can get, the more freedom you have, the more I can understand why my husband's doing these stupid things.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and from his perspective, you know, we all have that unique perspective.
He's not doing stupid things. He's who he is. And that's me not accepting who he is because I have so much lack of empathy, because I'm so caught up and identified with mm-hmm. this, and this.
The right way.
Right. So
the right way
to do it. Meet it sort of with a neutrality takes a lot of consciousness and presence.
Oh, yeah. And we're asking a lot.
But we can do it.
Yeah.
If we work. If we mm-hmm. if we don't assume, hey, I already know what's going on. I always ask myself, I don't know what really is going on with me. You know, mm-hmm. and what am I feeling? What is going on? And to question it, just with curiosity. Yeah. Any negative state when I'm in an argument, any of the things like, okay, what is going on here?
Well, it's funny that you're talking about this because recently I've started noticing myself feeling I can be the observer and notice when part of me wants to participate in drama. It's like I can feel like there's this little thing that part of me wants to like engage in. Like I know the high road and I know the little more dramatic road. And so it's just interesting to be able to see that from a different perspective.
Oh yeah, and if you can go in and see that you want to be a part of the drama and then also resist mm-hmm, a little bit mm-hmm. that urge, there's your yes and no. Mm. There's where the minute you have that, the energetic upgrades. The minute we put some kind of consciousness around our intentional effort, around our effort, then it becomes intentional. Mm-hmm. We upgrade the energy. Mm. It's like even when we're swimming in the negativity, like we're swimming in the anger, and just our effort to kind of be with it, look at it, sense our body, will bring about this energetic upgrade. Mm-hmm. And maybe the next time we're a little bit stronger. But there's also things about sort of not expressing the emotion. I'm not saying suppress.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm not saying push it down. I'm not saying repress, which we unconditionally do. We just repress all this stuff. I'm saying hold it there, ride the wave, but maybe not express it. That takes a lot of effort, mm-hmm. either to not complain about,
right,
or to say, well, you're not doing that right.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. There's like that compulsion inside
Right.
that you want to verbalize your feelings.
right. Right, or my rightness, my
Yeah.
or
How
I
could
got
you
all
do that
angry.
to
Well,
me?
he said this and this and this and this. I'm justifying something, but to try and refrain from speaking that thing will cause this inner combustion in a way. And I know a lot of people say, "Whoa, she's talking about not." She's talking about suppressing it.
No.
I'm not. I'm not talking about suppressing it. I'm talking about staying right with it, but actually not voicing it.
Well, because you're taking the moment to presence your feelings and you're acknowledging them internally, but then you're not taking them to the more dramatic level of expression and seeking external confirmation that you're right or whatever.
Exactly. Like I'll do. Okay, I'm going to do a week where I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain, and I may feel on the inside, oh, I really feel like crap, and I've got to tell them I'm really tired today. That's why I'm not going to say it. No, or I'm not going to express that the dishes aren't done, and I hate that.
Yeah.
And it's not done. Well, I don't really, but I go in there and say, okay, this is what it is. But I really want to say, okay, which one of you kids left all these dishes over here? And all this, across the room. It's just like, okay, what is that really about? What is going on exactly? And when you don't voice that, something starts, it's alchemy on the inside.
Yeah, because then you have a chance to really look at what it is. Because it's never that thing.
No.
It's never that the dishes weren't done.
That's right.
It's more about the dishes weren't done and I don't feel important enough for someone to do it.
Right.
Because they know it's important.
Right. Or it's not the way I think it should be, according to what I like. Because I may think, oh, well, if my house is messy, someone might think I'm irresponsible.
Right.
Or, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. But it's often a cause of, I like it this way and I don't like it this way. But they might not care.
Yeah.
They don't care if the dishes are stacked. And that's me imposing my identification with what should be onto them.
Yeah.
And that, it never works.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So if I can kind of boil in it, cook in it, the third force comes in. It always does. But that kind of intentional inner struggle is working with two forces, always. So there you can have examples of the third force occurring or this inner struggle all through the day.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure once you can see it the first time and you start noticing what those forces are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to finish up, I want to know, something has been kind of in the back of my awareness. This question about when we back ourselves into a corner. And I can see how that would be, we're creating a situation where that second force is we're bringing it in to kind of, I don't know, so I'm not sure exactly what I'm trying to say here, but do you understand?
Yes, I understand. When we have this feeling of being backed in the corner, what's happening is we have one part of us where we're identified with one eye is contradicting another part of us. And we don't want to see that. So we start to do things like blaming others or projecting it out or justifying our behavior or it's usually blame, justification, or self-pity. There's all kinds of states that we manifest in order to not see the contradiction within ourselves because we feel backed in a corner. That's our acting out that's our manifesting being backed in a corner. In a way, I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to.
Well, it seems like we're creating a situation where that third force is compelling us, like some whether it's an outcome we want to create or not. It's like we back ourselves into a corner because we know we want to do something or we need to have a catalyst, and so we almost force ourselves into a situation to
Absolutely.
catalyze a
That's
change.
exactly
Yeah.
right. You get to the point of resistance where it's you, that's the meeting of the two. And we will do, everything that happens to us is on purpose, is for a reason. It's meant to be, whether we failed something a million times and then say, oh, because that's the only way we can get to that resistance point for something to alchemically
To just like pop.
Yes. Yeah,
Nice.
that's the third force.
Yeah.
And we have to, back ourselves up to many, many corners in all parts of our lives. And then, something else has to happen. And it does if we can be present to what's going on. To, wake up and say, oh, yeah, I'm part of this. I'm part. Life isn't just coming at me. I'm part of this. I'm co-creating with this. I'm making these situations too.
Oh, well, we create
and
it
attracting
all.
them. Right.
Yeah.
We're co-creators.
Yeah.
And the more presence we have, the more we co-create. I mean, we really can be in the driver's seat.
Yeah. Awesome. Woo! I knew we were going to go on an amazing journey. It's like we were sitting in the car together, like just driving alone. So, is there a quick practical tip that we can leave the viewers with?
I would say in all this, because we've been winding around and around, is to use sensation in a way that is not, oh, I sense tightening in my chest, because that's something that's kind of capturing your attention. It's you intentionally bringing sensation to a body part, like your feet, during an interval, and use this as a simple exercise that's going to lead you into a much, much bigger experience. Yeah. But start with the very simple. Don't assume, oh, I got this. Just try it. Do it while you're chopping vegetables. Do it while you're at a stoplight. Do it every interval you can where you're doing something mundane, and learn to have this expanded awareness. Yeah. And it'll lead you all the way in.
Cool. Ooh. Well, this was so much fun. It was just like very mind expanding, and so how fun. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was wonderful. I love your show, and I'm honored to be here.
Oh, well, I'm honored to have you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I hope you enjoyed today's guest and got something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at theawakenedgoddess.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.